welcome to It's Possible, the podcast where we celebrate the human spirit and explore the incredible stories of individuals who triumphed over obstacles. In each episode, we'll bring you stories from a wide range of fields and experiences, from business leaders who turned setbacks into opportunities, to everyday heroes who conquered personal obstacles. We're here to remind you that it is possible.
And we welcome Ms. Amber to It's Possible. And we're going to talk to Amber today and find out about her and her journey. Welcome, Amber.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Thanks for having me. It's so good to talk to you as always.
Absolutely. So let's go back to, now where are you from? Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and all that good stuff?
Of course. So I live a little bit north of Atlanta, still Metro Atlanta. I was born in Atlanta. A lot of people that live in Georgia, especially the Atlanta area, you don't hear that they were born there. So I was. Georgia Baptist Hospital. It's no longer there anymore. But born and raised right here in Georgia.
Awesome. Now, what is your age? When did you graduate? I'm just kidding. I would.
Shame on you, Kevin.
No, wouldn't do that. Now, did you go straight from high school to college, or did you go to college, or what's
I did.
The story?
I attended a small private Christian high school, and then I went to UGA for my undergrad degree. And as I progressed in my career path, I did go back to school a few times. But I went to UGA. I became a teacher for a little while, and then I moved into I was a teacher for 7 years, and then I worked in district leadership for a little while, and I worked for the state. And now my W-2 is I work for the American Institutes for Research. So we are a national research nonprofit organization.
And what do you research?
That's funny. I am actually not a researcher. I'm on the technical assistance side. So it's hold on to your hats here. This is going to sound super exciting.
Yeah.
I give advice to state governments and how they operate educational, specifically special education funding.
Awesome. That's really important and good. Good for you.
Yeah, it's definitely important. We want everybody to follow the law for sure, right?
Yeah.
Help them do it, right? So I love the job. It's a great organization to work for, honestly.
Awesome. Now, did you have a guest with you? Is there? So there's more than one, right?
Yes, there are. I have 2 dogs in my lap. Sorry, I pushed her down. When she jumped up, I was like, go down. She heard something outside and decided she wanted to investigate. And then I was like, go back down. Sorry about that. It's better than barking though, right?
Oh yeah. That would be my house. So, goodness gracious. Well, awesome. So you now you did start to get interested in real estate at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you not like it? You don't like real estate?
I love real estate. That's funny. I just got interested this year. So I got involved in a couple wholesale groups. And so I did that for a little bit. And that's really the bread and butter of, I think, your initial foray into real estate investing. But then I learned about Pace Morby and I jumped into his Gator method. And so now I've kind of expanded that. I've explored just funding in general in real estate and how to really connect people. So whether it's buyers and sellers and buyers, borrowers to lenders, different. Now, I don't offer any financial advice or anything like that. But
Throwing that disclaimer out there, are you?
yeah, I like to be on the up and up around here. But
Absolutely.
yeah.
So now with your journey from high school teaching, which I can see, by the way, um, the and then into the research field, have you had, and then into most recently real estate, have you had any kind of challenges along the way that you've had to deal
Work challenges or personal challenges?
with? Yes.
Both.
Either one you want to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin, there's always challenges in life, you know.
Mhm.
So there are challenges and there's how you deal with the challenges, right? I and anybody who follows me on social media, sometimes I give updates. Um, so let me back up and say this. First of all, I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
and I think it really frames how I deal with life, how I handle anything that comes my way, good or bad.
Yeah.
I think that it's very important. Faith is very important to me. I think it's very important to everyone, of course, but specifically, I'm talking about myself and my own story, and I think that it's so important. So when I'm talking about any challenges I face, I like to say this isn't necessarily a complaint or um, something. I'm certainly not a victim or something to overcome, but more just a way of life. And I think that everybody has some sort of challenge, no matter what it
Right.
is. It can be physical, it can be whatever kind of challenge you have. Everybody's going to have something in life that they have to deal with it, and how you react to it is really what matters to me.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was diagnosed with MS several years ago, multiple sclerosis. I don't know if you know much about it. Everybody who has it is different.
Mm.
It hasn't stopped me in terms of a career path.
Yeah.
I did have problems before I was officially diagnosed, and the doctors didn't know what it was. And I would have little problems here and there, vitamin D deficiency,
Mm.
um, just weird things going on. And finally, one year, I just stopped being able to feel my legs. And
Mm.
so I was like, man, is this going to be a stroke? Like, what in the world? So I went to um, the doctor, and in the ER, they went ahead and diagnosed me with MS. Like, I wasn't prepared for that diagnosis.
Wow. Yeah.
And then they were just like, we think you have it. It's funny because I really loved all of the doctors, nurses that helped me, but it was weird because I didn't have anybody with me. I was just in the ER, and they had ran several tests, and they were just like, he said, yeah, I'm going to let you talk to our neurologist, and you're going to admit you, but you have MS. And I was like, what are you
Wow.
talking about?
Yeah.
And the only real experience I had with that was someone that my mom worked for was in a wheelchair. And so I remember, like, he had a tragedy in his life, and I was picturing that. And so I was like, oh no, like, what is this? How progressive is it? Am I going to be able to walk again? And first it was really difficult in terms of physicality, because it took me about 3 to 6 months to really gain my mobility back to what it was. And then it took a long time to find the right medication. So I went through all kind of medications where I had to give myself shots, and then I had severe reactions to a lot of medications. But
Uh, yeah.
the way it really affects me is it affects my nerves and muscles. I have problems with my right arm, problems typing, and then if I get overheated or stressed, then I have problems with my legs, and so sometimes I can't walk, or can't walk well.
Right.
Once, I calm down or get cool, or it could be minutes or hours, then
Right.
generally it comes back.
Okay.
But it's not a form of progressive MS, but over the years it does progress. It's like my doctor said, when you have, like, if you were to have a hole in your wall and you repair the wall, your house is still have a weakness, right? And as your
Yeah.
house ages, that wall is going to
Yeah.
become a weak point for the house. So
Right.
while I'm in remission right now, thank the Lord, I do notice, even in the past couple of years, like, there's been some progression. There's been some just slowness. I used to be able to walk 20 minutes at a time with no problem, and now I can't. I don't walk more than about 10 minutes, or I feel a little bit unstable. I can't stand for long periods of time.
Right.
But Kevin, for the most part, I'm doing all right. I do have pain at times. My muscles will seize up, they'll lock up. The worst is laying down, sleeping.
Mm.
But what I've noticed is, the more I focus on that and just say, I'm in pain, or talk about it, or um, just dwell on it, then the more pain I seem to be in.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I keep busy, and that's why I have 2 jobs, right? If I keep busy, keep active, regardless of what's going on, whether I can walk or not. If I can't walk, I have a mobility scooter. I just pop it in my car, go along with life.
Yeah.
But the more I stop doing things and think about it, I mean, I could spend a whole week sitting on the couch just feeling sorry for myself, and I don't want to do that. I will
Right.
say COVID was tough because I didn't get out a lot.
Right.
We, as the world didn't,
Yeah.
and I live by myself with my 2 dogs, so it was, when you don't see people, then there's also a mental component to that, and I wasn't walking as much. I actually think that COVID, being not COVID itself, but being home,
Yeah.
actually hindered me in some ways, because I didn't walk as much.
Right.
And so I think my muscles, they weren't working as much as they normally do. And then I was like, I had to get out. So this was before I got into real estate. I just started delivering food, because I was like, you know what? I got to get out of the house. I cannot sit here. I cannot think about how much pain I'm in. I cannot, because when you're home and everybody's at home and you're not seeing anybody, all you can focus on is yourself,
Yeah.
and I think that focusing on yourself is just not a healthy way to be in general. I think we should all really focus on other people and not ourselves. So yeah, so that's been a personal challenge. Of course, I have challenges at work. They come up, stressors come and go, but I enjoy my job. So yeah. I
So
don't know if
with
that's
your,
what you meant, but
that is absolutely it. So so basically, uh, your mindset is keep on going and don't focus on yourself. Is that your advice,
that is my advice. And
or your mindset at least?
it's my mindset, and everyone's different,
Mhm.
right? So I can't say that my pain is more or less than anybody else's pain. I don't know how that works with
Yeah.
other people. I think I have a pretty high tolerance of pain,
Yeah.
and um, but sometimes there are really tough days, and I try to give myself grace. So I also don't want to project that people have to be strong. Someone told me that one time. They said, I had a family member who had cancer, and he never really talked about it. And we were just like, wow, he's so strong. And that was weird to hear, because it's like, well, it's a part of him. And I love that that's your experience. But, I didn't know if that was meant to be encouraging to me or meant to be a lecture. And I try to give people a lot of grace in just what they say and what they do. I think people mean well overall.
Yeah.
But so in developing my mindset, I would never stop someone from telling their story or telling their experience, or if it helps for them to talk about it, if it helps for them to complain, I will want to be a listening ear, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I think the more I talk about it or dwell on it, or just, it doesn't make anything better. Let's just say that. It
Yeah.
doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't really harm me, I guess. If like this conversation, I'm not even talking about this conversation. I'm just talking about, like, I don't call people and be like, man, I had a really tough day. It
Yeah.
was so painful. Like, I can't hardly get on. What are they going to do with that? Like, they can encourage me, but
Yeah.
I have a really good support system, and I have people that encourage me anyway. I think I don't talk about it as much because it's more for me to
Right.
say, I'm moving on, because if I think about it, then it's that then I'm focusing on it. I mean, it's kind of like if you have a toothache, right?
Yeah.
If you think about that toothache, it's going to hurt more and more and more. Of course, everybody who has toothache need to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if you have a pain and you focus on that pain, it's going to be something that becomes a bigger deal than maybe it needs to be. That's my experience. I don't want to speak for anybody else.
But it's kind of like that joke, and I'm not going to get it right, but if you, as a kid, if you had a little cut on your finger or something like that, and then if you and it hurts, right? Well, if you took like a hammer and smashed your foot, you would forget all about that little cut. So, because your mind would shift. That was a bad joke. That was a bad joke.
Right.
I'm sorry. So,
That's right. No. You're right. That's exactly true, though. That is the way it is. But I
so
will say this, I think too, and because I talked about my faith and because I said I was a Christian, I do think sometimes, and hey, I'm going to pray for you, and most encouraging. And I have so many Christian friends and family that do that. And I'm so thankful for them. And I love that. I
yeah,
also feel like there are some Christians who want you to just be an overcomer, and, you know, they there's no room for talking about it, or like, almost like if you dwell on it, then
yeah,
you're not having enough faith, and that
right,
God's going to take away the pain or something. And I definitely don't believe that.
right.
I just tell people, try not to judge anybody unless you're in their shoes.
That's right.
Like, if I need to tell someone, hey, I'm struggling with walking,
Yeah,
you shouldn't judge that, right? I'm struggling
right.
with walking. That's a fact. If I
Yeah,
say I'm in pain and I need to take a break from doing something, that's a fact. That's not something that doesn't have any bearing on my faith.
right,
And so, yeah.
right. So, so your faith. When did you develop your faith as a Christian?
I was a kid. Um, I was saved. Well, I grew up in church, so I grew up around church. But the date that I wrote in my Bible
Yeah,
was that I really felt a calling and a sincere response to that calling. I was 12 years old, and that's also the year that I got baptized. So I might have been 13 when I got baptized, but it followed my 12th year. Yeah.
I noticed you did not. You said an age, but you did not say a date. That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'd have to go. I still have my childhood Bible, and it's written in there. So interestingly enough, I don't remember the date, but I do
No,
remember the
no,
age.
no. Like the year, because we could do the math and figure out.
See,
Uh,
Kevin, I see where you're headed. Um, do
oh,
you
that's
want me to
good.
tell my age, Kevin?
No, no, I'm playing with you.
Because I have no problem doing that. I'm
No.
40. I'm 43 years old, Kevin.
Oh, I did not ask. I did not ask for the record.
Everybody hate on Kevin. He was totally being inappropriate asking me my age.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. Kidding, kidding.
Uh,
Oh, I love that.
that so that's good on you. So if you
What
could,
about you, Kevin? I want to know your story. I mean, I know this is your podcast, but I think that I just gave you a really personal thing that happened to me. So did you become a Christian?
you know, my parents and I talked about this yesterday when I was here trying to do a recording, and due to the internet issue at my place in the boondocks. Um, so I was the same as you. I grew up in a Christian home. Um, we went to church twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday. So
Same.
I was 6 or 7, something like that, when I went for it. I don't remember, and so I don't count that. And I really look at it as more of a progression over time because I don't. There is no date that I can say um, because, like, I became. What I can say is late. I think I was eighth grade. I think it was eighth grade. I had a horrible dream, and it shook me. And uh, the next day, I was walking outside, walking back and forth, and I was scared. And I knew that I needed God uh, that day. And so my dad and I went into the living room, and I believe if I had to say a day, that I would say that day. Of course, if you look at my life and how I lived it afterwards, I went far, far away after, but then I came back, and so that is a much, much longer story, but that's the gist of it.
Short version. Yeah. I love that.
So uh, I even went to, as an adult, I would be hungover from Saturday night, and I would go to church by myself because I needed it, even though I knew I was living in sin, but I wanted out, and then you know that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't drink anymore. But anyway,
Yeah.
so, uh, so yeah, that's a whole other um, conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
Hadn't really talked about that one very much. But so if you could go back, let's put it back to you. uh,
Take you off the hot seat, Kevin.
yes. Uh, so if you could go back to 12-year-old Amber and concerning, you know, mindset, the experience that you have, what advice would you give your younger self?
Well, yeah, that's tough. I'll give advice that I just gave someone else that's very young. They are a teenager. And I wouldn't necessarily give my 12-year-old self this advice, but I was talking to a teenager the other day who is pretty successful in real estate. And um, I think that every moment should count, right?
Yeah.
I think that so if I could go back and learn and know all of the things that I know now, I'd love to know that. I think it, how people measure success is different. I think for sure I would have different success as an entrepreneur,
Mm.
as if I could go, it just as an investor. So outside of real estate investments, I'm a nerd, so I like other investments too. If I could have saved early, if I could have invested early, if I could have
Yeah.
done so many things
Yeah.
early on, um, I would tell myself, this is what you need to do. You can be a millionaire by this
Yeah.
date
Yeah.
and be free and be able to help people. Not that money's the goal,
Right.
but
Right.
to be able to just with money, with a certain amount of money comes freedom. And my life took a lot different path. But I also don't regret a lot, and maybe, past behaviors or whatever else. But I think you learn a lot. You learn a lot in college, not necessarily the college material you need to learn, but you
Right.
learn socialization and people. And every year you're learning something else. And so I think that my path was to learn other things. And I have traveled the world, Kevin. I've been all over Europe, different South America, Canada, all over the United States. Um, the UAE, just different continents. And I love that. I still love traveling, but now I would not be able to travel as well for as long
Mm.
as I used to be able to.
Right.
Staying in foreign beds is very painful for me. My own bed's better. And even when
Yeah.
I'm traveling for work, if I travel for long periods of time, it's hard.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what my future was going to hold, but I did all the things. I hiked the mountains that I
Mhm.
actually hate hiking, so I don't know even know why I did that. But I did all the things, right?
Yes.
Stayed in a hostel. I crossed over the border from the United States to Mexico almost on foot, and from San Diego, that part of the country. So
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things that's just like, man, I lived a lot of life. I've seen a lot of cultures. And I think especially in the community and surrounding ourselves with the people that we do, there's this emphasis on money and success so much
Yeah.
that I also think you can never get your youth back. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Yep.
some people are like, hey, the younger you are, you're time rich. You can
Yeah.
do all of these things. And I believe that. But
Yes.
I also believe that you need to be a child and
Yeah.
be and grow in, I don't know, life experience. Just don't have
Yeah.
regrets. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So if the success and the money that you're making as a teenager or whoever it is, you
Yeah.
know, if that's what you want, then make sure, if you're young, think
Yeah.
about what you might want it 20 years, 30 years down the road, and make sure that you're setting yourself up for that. If
Yeah.
all you want in the future is money,
Yeah.
okay, great. But
Right.
if you get to age 40, age 50, age 60,
Yeah.
and you wish, hey, I would have traveled or I would have done ABC,
Yes.
but all I was focused on was money and being in the room where it happens,
Right.
then you might have missed out on some things. So everybody takes a different path. I
Yeah.
think that my mindset has grown. I'm a positive person. I haven't always been a positive person. I've been a very negative person in a lot of ways. But
Stop.
I would tell my younger self to um, give a lot of grace, be non-judgmental as much as
Mhm.
possible, and till you know someone's story, you don't really know anything, right?
Right.
So that's what I'd say.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Great advice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Kevin. Well, I've just been talking your head off.
Yeah, this is all about you. Just want to hear about you. Uh,
Yeah.
well,
Um, that's the extent of my advice. I don't feel like I have too much more. I've now dumped all of my knowledge, and I'm out. No, I probably have a few other nuggets, but I don't know. Nothing comes to mind at the moment.
that's,
So,
that's
um,
perfect.
I think mindset's everything.
Yeah, and living life.
Hmm.
Yeah, love it.
Living every moment
Yes, absolutely.
and appreciating the present. You know,
It's hard to do, isn't it?
it is hard to do.
Yeah,
We look in the past, tend to have regrets or wish we had done things differently.
yeah,
Even in the question, like what advice would you give? And then we look at the future. Where do I want to be?
yeah,
And then we forget sometimes you're right here. You're right here among family members that you don't know will be here tomorrow. You're right here with children or
yeah.
whoever it is. Like
Right.
there's a moment right here happening. Are you present in that moment? Are you making the best here? Are you laughing? Are you
Love it.
content? Are you happy? You know?
Love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for sharing your story.
I appreciate you having me, Kevin.
Yeah.
I love talking, so love me.
Well,
And you're the best. Everybody follow Kevin's podcast. He's going places. He's good people, as they say.
all right,
I'm serious.
I'll send you the check in the mail. It should be there.
That's what I'm looking for.
Oh man. Awesome. Well, thank you. This has been another episode of It's Possible, and Amber clearly fits that bill. And so, definitely, thanks again for sharing everything, your story and mindset, and living in the present, and we can all benefit from what you've said. And so, thanks again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Kevin. We'll talk soon. I love it.
Have a good one.
And that wraps up another incredible episode of It's Possible. We hope you enjoyed this inspiring conversation and gained valuable insights from our guest's journey. If you've been inspired by today's episode and want to stay connected, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media. We have more amazing stories and interviews coming your way, so don't miss out.